Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be painting a landscape, and I haven't painted my red umbrella lovers for a while, so they'll be back on today. So what I did is I've sketched out the landscape. In the background there's a couple of buildings, high rises, and then a street, and it's going to be filled with lights later. So for the sky, I am painting it in light blue and dark blue. Basically this whole piece I'm mainly using a lot of blue, and I'm gonna brighten it up with lights. So the first layer here, I'm just going to roughly paint it and kind of like map out all the colors. So this is going to be like a little mountain there, and I'm going to use ultramarine blue, and for the buildings I'm going to outline them in Prussian blue. I'm going to mix a bit of white to kind of give it a bit of shade, and I'm going to fill that part up as the middle part of the building. So it's going to be outlined in Prussian blue, and in the middle white mixed with sky blue. So for this blank space here, I want a little bit of greenery. So I'm mixing Mighty's green mixed with Prussian blue, and I'm going to just cover this whole patch here for some greenery, and I'm going to extend it all the way out to the right. So these buildings are going to be overlooking the water, and I'm going to paint this in sky blue to match the sky. It still looks very rough, but like I said, we're going to touch up again for the second layer right now. I just want to map it out so that it'll be easier to kind of like add the details in later. So there's going to be like a patch of grass on the right side here. I'm mixing olive green mixed with Mighty's green. I'm just going to cover that patch of grass, and here is going to be the street, and I'm also going to use blue. It's a lot of blue, but the same colors as the sky blue mixed with Prussian blue. And then over here we can just have this divider here. We're going to paint it in gray mixed with blue and a little bit of brown. Okay, now that we've finished kind of mapping out the colors, I'm going to paint the second layer, and this time we're going to touch up and paint it properly. So we're going to start from the bottom of the sky, and I'm going to add white to sky blue so that you have this lighter shade of blue to help create a glow from all the lights that we're going to be adding later. Next, I'm going to add a fresh layer of dark blue on top, and then I'm going to blend the middle by moving the brush in a circular motion. So this will help to give it a smoother finish, and also it will kind of look a little bit more cloudy in the background. Then I'm going to use the same technique as well. I'm going to blend it from the bottom, and then I'm going to just move my brush in a circular motion again, and I'm just going to even everything out until the sky is smoothly blended. Next, we're going to add a bit of shading to this mountain on the left. We're going to go from light to dark, top to bottom. And now over here, I'm going to add a bit of highlights on this greenery. So I'm going to use olive green, and I'm going to mix it with a bit of white and blue and mid green. And I'm just going to like dab the brush on top to kind of get the highlights in and blend it. Next, we're going to touch up these buildings, and I'm going to again give them a fresh outline with Prussian blue. And I'm going to add a bit more white in the middle. Then I'm going to blend it in within the building, and also because when we add the lights later, it'll kind of, the white in the middle of the building will already give it a glow. I'm using a size 00 brush for this, so it's easy for me to get the clean outlines and to work on these smaller parts as well. So for the water now, I'm going to repaint over it with sky blue, and I'm just using my brush strokes to drag it downwards. And then I'm going to add a bit of reflections by using Prussian blue, and I'm going to drag it downwards as well from the buildings and from this greenery over here. And I want it to kind of mirror the shape of the city skyline. And in the middle of these reflections, I'm going to add a darker shade of blue to give it a bit more emphasis. So for the first layer, there were shades of brown in this, and I find that it didn't really match that much. So I'm adding more blue and gray over it. And now we're going to work on the street. In the middle of it, I'm going to mix white with cobalt blue, And then at the sides, it's going to be a little bit darker in ultramarine blue, and I'm going to blend it in together. Not much changes for this patch of grass, and we're just going to give it a fresh coat of paint, and we're going to blend it from olive green to dark green. Now is the fun part. We're going to add the lights in yellow and orange, and it's going to be very tiny lights, so we're going to be using a size 000 brush and just the tip of it. Next, we're going to line this whole row here and orange lights, but before that, we're going to blend orange with olive green to create a glow in the background before adding the lights over it. We're going to blend it by moving the brush in a circular motion, and once that is done, we're going to add the lights over it, some in yellow and some in orange, and towards the right, we're going to scatter a few more lights on top. Next, we're going to brighten up the buildings with more lights in yellow and white. Just use the tip of the brush to create this tiny little lights, and then we're going to add the reflections on the water. So we're going to start from the top, and we're going to just drag the paintbrush down and give it a little bit of dots. We start with orange, and then we add a bit of white and yellow over it, and that will help to brighten it up. Next, we're going to add street lights along this whole promenade. I'm going to do the same thing as I did for the background lights. I'm going to use orange. I'm going to blend it with olive green in the background, and then I'm going to paint the street lights over it, and this will give it a nice warm glow in the background. So I'm painting the lights in orange, and in the middle of this orange I'm going to add white, and then we're going to add the post in black. Next, we're going to add the reflections of the lights on the street, but we're going to be using back to our normal brush, which is the rectangular brush that you see. And we're going to start with orange, and then we're going to add blue, cobalt blue. So I want to create like a wet cobblestone path. So we're going to add these little marks on the road to give it more texture. We're going to have these dark marks around the sides, and then in the middle where the light is going to be orange, and we're going to add a bit more white and blue, and on the orange part we're going to add a bit of yellow. I think this part really helps to brighten up the whole painting when we add the reflections on the street. And over here on the right, I'm just adding a bit of trees and black, just to cover up the space a little bit. After I draw the branches, I just take a brush, a wool brush, and I fill up the space on top by tapping it so it looks like leaves. And now is my favorite and the last part, we're going to add a red umbrella. We're going to just draw the umbrella, and we're going to give it scarlet highlights so that the colors will pop. And this is finished. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you find the tutorial useful, and I hope to see you again in the next video. Goodbye.